Hiya, it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today we are going to be making a card featuring, on the whole, the new dies from the Sue Wilson latest collection, in particular the New Zealand collection. Now, if you want to know specifically what dies and cardstock etc that I've been using, click the link below if you're on YouTube. It will take you to the blog post that corresponds with this video and it will have all that information on there for you. So this particular card we're going to be doing today is going to be my Mother's Day card for my mum, and I am actually going to be doing a card using these Sue Wilson dies that is actually smaller than you would often see me do with the Sue Wilson dies. I'd had some comments saying I love Sue Wilson dies, but I don't like to make the bigger cards all the time, etc, etc. Now, I have previously actually made cards using Sue Wilson on a smaller scale, but I think a lot of the time you will have seen me use them making big cards, so I thought it'd be fun, and I think it will show how nice these dies look if I made it on a smaller scale. So we're actually going to be making this card 6 by 6. So I'm starting out here with actually a hunky-dory pre-scored 6 by 6 card. So we're just going to fold it along that score line and use my bone folder just to crease that nice and straight, like so. I then want to make this into an easel card. So when you make an easel card, you're going to just, whatever card you've got, you're literally just going to take the front and score in half, like so, and that creates the basis of our easel card. Now, I don't want my card base to be solidly white, so I have actually cut some of the coconut white cardstock to cover this up. This is a pretty heavy card, but the amount of layering that I'm going to be doing up here needs to be countered with some layering down here so that it feels equally thick and luxurious. Because if you've got one bit that's really heavy and thick and this bit, then automatically, even if it starts out feeling pretty good, suddenly it feels really thin and weak and horrible. So it's worth kind of trying to keep that balance as much as possible. So I have pre-cut, as I said, some of these layers. So the first layer is here just because I want to cover up that very bright white, but I am actually going to be scalloping that edge. But so in order to do that and make sure this all lines up, what I've done is obviously cut this to 6 by 6, and then I'm going to stick it down, and then I'm going to put this edge through the die cutting machine as one piece. So we're going to take my Cosmic Shimmer and then just stick it down like so, just making sure it's really well stuck. And then you want to give it a little bit of time, just a few minutes to dry, and you can see it's nicely fitting there, but you want to give it a few minutes to dry before you die cut this edge here, so we can get on and die cut some other pieces in the interim. So then we want to do the same for up here, but for this piece I only want to stick it on this part of my easel card, because when it stands up I want this whole 6 by 6 popped up in the top like that. But I also want to do is just shape the bottom and the top corners using my corner chomper. Now I think what I'll do is I'll do that once I've stuck it down, because I think that'll give me a more even finish. So let's just put adhesive on this half, and this will really create the look of our easel card now. And just pop that down there, and I definitely would put it onto the base card, the adhesive, not the piece that you're putting down, and then that will sit up like that. And because it still matches, or it's within the confines of the original base card, it will sit within our envelope. So then just taking my corner chomper, this side, this is deco, so it's just a little decorative corner, Then I've got a mat which is going on here. Now obviously now I've cut these corners off, I need to do the same to this one, like so. And then we'll pop that in position, and now you can see those corners are done. Isn't that pretty? So then just taking our adhesive again, laying this flat and popping it in position like so. Okay, so that's our base done. So the first die that we're going to use is the New Zealand Noble border, and I just want this outside edge to start with. Although what I want to do is cut a nice wibbly border along here. However, if I was to just put this down like this, we'd also cut the edge off our card here, because this piece is actually a cutting edge. So what I want to do is just thread my piece of card through, so you're going basically through the centre of your die, and then the cutting edge here is underneath my card and won't cut it. Okay, so then I want to line this up as close to the edge of my piece of card and also evenly, and then I do need to just very lightly twist this. Now there's not a lot of space. Okay, so that's that, and I think I'll just take my piece of card like that as well, just to hold that in place like so. I'm glad to see that worked. Okay, and then pop that through our machine. Okay, so what we want to do is just flip this over, make sure it's cut through, which it seems to have done. There we go. So it looks like it stayed in position. As you can see, we didn't cut through there, but we have cut our nice border edge here, and then that's going to sit like that. What you'll see is possibly, hopefully, yeah, you can just see there's like a line where your, look, you can see it even more so on this side. This is where the pressure of your plates has pushed that die where we'd put it underneath into your card. Now that doesn't matter really on the back, but it would matter on the front if this wasn't going to be covered up, but it is, so it's not a problem. We're actually going to be putting the whole of this die piece here with its decorative elements, so it's going to be completely covering that here. So I think what we'll do, since we're on this section, we're going to continue cutting all the bits that we need for here so that it all kind of makes sense. So the next thing what I want to do is cut the layers, and we're going to do that by using pink as a whole piece like this, and then I'm going to cut the white out, or the coconut white, in this with this and the lacy piece inside, so then you're going to put the two together and you'll see the pink through. Okay, so as I said, the next layer we want is the pink, but I want this obviously to be popped up, so I've also got some of my foam, and I'm going to cut that out as well. But in order to make it simpler for myself, this has actually got adhesive on it, but you could, if you don't have adhesive on the foam, just put some adhesive on it, and then we're going to stick this foam to the edge here, and then we can take that and our die, okay, and then twist my die, put my plate on. Make sure you keep reversing your plates as well, because that always helps, and then just pop it through, and that's cut through beautifully. So then we're just going to take that off. So there's our pink piece, and we've got our foam on the back. There's a little bit there that hasn't got some foam on, so we need to just add a little bit there like so, and that'll do the job just perfect. Okay, so that's part one. So now we've got a white piece, And we've got my die here. So just pop that to the edge, and we've also got now my inner piece, and that needs to go, and again just twisting it so that it will go through our machine with no warping on our plates. And that's cut through perfectly. You can see, look, one pass and it's cut, and still perfectly straight. Okay, so take the edge piece off and then pull this out very carefully because it's very intricate. But you can see how beautifully it's just cut perfectly and easily, and I'm just literally running my finger over these bits and they're just popping out. Okay, so there's that piece all done, and you could see how easy it was to pop out, and isn't it absolutely stunning? So now we're going to stick that onto this, and you can see how pretty it looks with the pink showing through. Isn't that gorgeous? So how I do my gluing of intricate dies like that is, I know a lot of people like put it on their hands. I don't think you should do that with any chemicals like that. I think it's a risk, and you might not get an allergic reaction or any kind of reaction for years and years, literally. And this is what we teach when we do our nails, actually, which is obviously all to do with chemicals. You may not get reactions for years, but all of a sudden, boom, you get an allergic reaction, and then you can't go near the stuff ever again. So I think it's not worth risking. So personally, for the sake of a bit of paper, if you've got some scrap, just do exactly the same thing, but on the scrap of paper instead. So just pop that on there, then take my die cut and just stick using my nail, or if you haven't got long nails then use a tool, but because I've got a long nail I'm not too bad. And then making sure as well that the top has got plenty on, and these end pieces as well. Okay, so then we've got plenty of adhesive on there. Okay, and then just lining this up with the pink. And then taking the other end of the paper, so just that's not had the glue on it, use that to press down. And the reason is, if you go over with your hand, you can pull pieces off. Now I'm just straightening this up because it was just a little bit wrong at the top there. There we go. Yeah, when you do that, you can actually sort of rub those pieces up in the air, whereas if you do it over a piece of paper, you can't, because you're not going to catch them. So it's always safer to do it like that. And you've got also the opportunity then that any excess glue that you've had that seeps out, if it should, between the little pieces, it will just actually I'm not even going to bother cutting that off because I've got to cut it off anyway. Yeah, any excess glue that seeps out in between, it will just attach itself to the piece of card, so then you've got that all done, cleaned up as well, so it's a double bonus. Okay, so now what we want to do is take our card base, so just open that up. We then need to, we've got our foam on here, so we then need to line this up with the cut that we've already done. Now clearly, as you can see, this is much wider, so that's deliberate, because trying to make sure, if you cut these pieces of card here to exactly the right size, to get them perfectly centered according to how you've done it on here, which might not be millimeter perfectly centered, it's going to be really hard. Whereas if you've got a piece like this, and you know, you can then move along according to the position, you haven't got to go, oh, that's the edge, oh, it doesn't match. So it's definitely better to start with a wider piece and stick it down and then cut to size. Is basically what I'm trying to say. Okay, and then taking that, and I think I put a load of glue on bits that I don't need glue, and then just holding that down, and you can see I haven't gone for a massively, yeah, I did put loads of glue on bits I didn't need. I haven't gone for massively deep. If you wanted it deeper, then you can just add another layer of foam. You don't have to do the foam cut like I did, although obviously you saw at the end I had kind of had to cut a little bit extra. You don't, so you could do it just with foam squares. And normally I think if I was doing this card without filming, I'd probably do all my die cutting and then get to the construction, but I think that when I'm doing this, sometimes it's easier, rather than me cut everything and none of it really makes any sense because you don't know what's in my head and where I'm going with it. It's easier to do a little bit, show you what I'm trying to do, and then you can adapt it, you can change it because you know what I'm cutting it for. Whereas if I cut everything out, you're not really sure what bit was for what. So I just thought this might be simpler. Okay, so now that's sort of cut enough, we're just going to take, and look, we didn't need those bits of foam at all. Should have waited and seen, shouldn't I? Anyway, we're just going to take my scissors. These are my good scissors and not my glue scissors, so I shouldn't be cutting along here with these, but anyway. I have a pair of scrappy scissors that I use where things are gluey. Okay, and then you've got that excess off. And beautiful border, and then this will sit, and you can see it's being held in place by that. Isn't that absolutely stunning? So pretty. So that's that bit done. I'm going to keep my scrappy bit of card so that I can use that again in a minute. I've got some bits for doing a tag on here, so we're going to cut that out next. So I've got some card here, and I've got a tiny bit of the darker pink. I just thought that might give it a little bit of lift, so we'll go for that this time on this one. So we'll see, hopefully it works. If it doesn't work, we can just recut it in the pale pink. So for our tag, we're going to be using again the New Zealand collection, and it's the tag in the New Zealand collection. And in that you've got, let me show you, you have got the outer die here, you've got like what I call the lacy bit, and then you've got an inner die. So this gives you the choice of cutting out an aperture in the centre here, or you can take that piece out and it will be just a solid piece that you could stamp on. I'm actually going to use this, but I'm going to cut a piece separately and I'm going to mat that up, and you'll see what I mean. So let's take all three elements and start to cut these pieces out. So here I've got a piece of foam and a piece of my pink, dark pink cardstock here. I didn't have any of the right shade in the dark pink, so that was a bit annoying. So I'm just going to pop the foam on the back here, and I'm going to cut the larger solid piece of the die from there. So I'm just going to pop that into the centre. I need to cut down into the foam and into the card because you want any kind of little embossy lines that you get even just from the cutting, even if you don't put it through as an embossing piece. So just pop that like that, and then we've got this piece. Well, we can't cut that until we have our outline again, so we'll need to come back to that. But then we've also got the inner circle, which I can cut now, and I'm going to cut that in the coconut white, and you'll see why. I just thought it would be a bit different to pop that centre. Normally you either cut it out in the middle of this piece or you leave this piece solid, and I thought it'd be nice to do something just a little different with that little die there. Okay. Oh, squeaky squeaky. Okay. So that's cut through beautifully. Just peel that off, very carefully. There we go. So that's one little piece, and we're going to be stamping on that, so we need to make sure we keep hold of that. So we've got our foam on the back just to give it a little bit of dimension. So that's that piece. So now we want to take this die again and this piece of white, coconut white, and we want to put that in the middle there and this inside of it. So we cut out our decorative tag, but we're not putting the circle die in because we don't want to cut an aperture out, we want it solid. Okay, now you can see my die machine moving a lot. That's because I've got a mat underneath it, so that if you didn't have that it would probably stay nice and steady. Okay, so that's cut through lovely. Just take our tape off and our dies. Well, that just popped out, I didn't even do anything. Isn't that beautiful? And then the idea is we're going to sit that on top like that, and then that will sit, whoops, on our decorative piece here. I'm thinking that I might prefer it with the pale pink, so I think what I'm going to do is cut that out again. Okay, so there's this piece cut out, and I think this is going to look a lot better. So just to double check, that's over that. I think that that looks really nice. I think that that's just a little bit stronger than I wanted it to be. So I'm just going to take my adhesive here and I'm just going to pop that. I don't need to worry about cutting the foam out again. I can just use what we had and just cover the dark pink with the light pink, and then you're not going to know any different. And then again, taking my gluey paper, put a little bit of adhesive down on there, and then taking my piece here, making sure there's plenty of adhesive on all of it, and then sticking that down onto the pink, making sure it's all lined up like so, and then just taking the other end and giving it a good push just to make sure it's stuck. Now this is what you could now stamp on this bit, but what I thought would be fun is to take this piece, and because you could then see like another area, I'm going to put a piece of foam on the back of that, but first I'm going to stamp my sentiment on it. Okay, so I'm going to stamp on my sentiment with pink pirouette. I think that should be okay for what I'm after, and I've got here some paper tray ink, handwritten notes, and then just popping that into the centre. And up. There we go. So there it says hugs and kisses, and then I'm going to get some foam. This, as I say, this piece is self-adhesive, but you could, it's only adhesive on one side, funnily enough, but you could easily just do what I'm going to do on the other side, which is put some adhesive on and do that on both sides. So I find it's really good because you can get this foam in all different colours, so it's kind of cool. Actually, just before that sets, I just want to put a tiny bit of this colour cloud just very gently around the edge of my sentiment here. And this, I'll tell you the name of which one it is in 2 seconds. And then it's really delicate, I really didn't put much on. It's just to accent that piece. And this is pretty in pink. And I just used a little one of the smoothies. I always think of them as eggs. Okay, so we'll just let that dry. Okay, so I've got this cute little polka dot bow, and I thought that that was perfect. And then it kind of makes that look even again as well, because I'd slightly gone off to one side. So I think that works lovely. And then I'm just going to put a blob of my glue gel, quite a lot, because I want some height. And I literally just want to pop it down and hardly squidge it at all, and just have the tails going either side of my hugs and kisses. So that's going to sit there. So I'm literally just going to take some of my glue gel here. It could have been my Cosmic Shimmer, it doesn't matter. And I'm just going to pop that in position like so. I just want to make sure those two sides bend nicely. There we go, isn't that pretty? So that's our stopper part done. So now, obviously I'm going to be careful, but we're now going to work on this section. So I'm going to put this card to one side for the moment because we don't need the card right now. And we're going to start working on that top section. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're creating a layer for the front of this card, ready for the lovely decorative panel, but we don't want this boringly plain. So the first thing that I need to do with that is obviously chomp those corners to match the one underneath. So just taking my corner chomper, again, I'm just going to go round each corner, so that then will mat onto there like so, which looks really cool. So then, so it's not so boring, as I said, we're going to take the centre die from that Wellington, New Zealand Wellington collection, and I'm going to just position it across in this corner. Now the reason that this one's good is because it's no cutting edge around it, so it's not going to cut the corner off, it's just going to cut into the corner, and I think it'll look really pretty actually being something a bit different in the shape. So I've got my magnetic plate because I think that's a lot easier, and my piece of card, and then I can just pop that in the corner and I don't have to worry about taping it, etc., which makes it a heck of a lot easier. Just making sure that's right in the right position. Pop my plate on top and through we go. And then back again. Now it's such a little one, it doesn't matter if it's sort of twisted or not. And you can do if you've got the space, but you don't have to get too hung up on it. So there's the corner, first one, and it looks a bit weird, I think, until you start putting all the pieces in. Okay, so I'm going to do the other three and I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, so that's the finished piece. Isn't that gorgeous? The design is lovely. I think it looks a bit strange at the moment because there's nothing over the top, but I think it'll look really nice once it's done. So now we want to pop that on here. So we just want to stick that down. So I'm just going to take my, just trying to decide, I think maybe that way around actually. I'm going to take my Cosmic Shimmer adhesive. I'm going to put a little bit on this piece here for the corners, and then I'm going to to put the rest onto the card itself. So on here, now obviously I need to be careful because I've got that piece underneath, and as I said, I probably normally would finish all the cutting and then start constructing, but I just thought it's going to get really confusing to try and explain what I'm cutting all the bits for, because it's just hard to say it in words, isn't it? I mean, how would I have explained these corners in words, really? So I just thought it would be easier just to do things as we go along. So just pressing those down nice and firm. Okay, so we're going to let that dry, and we're going to cut out the next element. What we're doing now is we're creating our decorative element, sort of our piece to go on the front, and we're using this Wellington here. So the first thing I want to do is create a coconut white mat to go at the back of that, so that everything that we put on top, because I'm going to be doing some apertures and things, that we've got a piece behind that's solid. So we're just taking that outside edge and twisting. I've got 2 layers of, that's better, now the magnetic's working, and then just popping that through. I'm using my magnetic plate now. I don't know why I didn't have that earlier, really. Oh, because they were bigger, I think. It's a big die. Okay, so popping that through, and then we've got our first layer, so that's that. And then we're going to be doing the next layer, which is actually here. We've got a pink piece with 2 mats, so I'm going to stick these all together first of all. So just taking my adhesive off the layer protector thingy off the back of the foam. I want 2 layers of this because I just think it will give it a really nice depth. And we're doing this now because then the foam and the pink card are all matted together, and when we cut it through we know everything's matched up and in perfect position. Right, so we've got now a pink piece of card with 2 pieces of foam. So I'm just going to take my bigger mats because I don't need the magnetic plate, and I'm going to pop that down, and we're going to pop that in there so we can retwist it. We want to create an aperture in the centre here, and so we want that to be the smallest of those, so we need to pop that into the centre, die side down. But in order to position that correctly, we're going to use the other dies just to help us make sure everything's in the right place. So we want to stick that about there. Okay, so I'm just going to take a little bit of tape, pull that piece out because we don't want that one yet, but that just helped us position that all, and then we're going to cut that out. Okay, has that gone through? Yep, it has. Let's just pull that off and use our die to pull that off, and ditto on the edge here. I'm not even going to bother to worry about the tape, to be honest. I just want the die out because that's all that counts. So that's come out beautiful. So we've done that layer now, so now what I want to do is cut the lovely decorative piece. So I've got a piece of white cardstock and put that into the centre. Take my lovely decorative element, and then this piece as well, because we've got another piece that we need an aperture for, and I'm going to cut all 3 pieces out and pop that through. Just turning it over before we separate it, just to be sure that all the pieces have cut. Look at that, isn't that absolutely stunning? And then that is going to sit on here, we're going to stick that down on there. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Okay, so now I want to cut a frame to sit up on there. Originally I was thinking about doing that in pink, but I really think the pink should be kind of sort of in the background, because it's otherwise it's overpowering, and I kind of wanted it to be a white card with a bit of pink, but the pink's actually showing through really quite more than I would think, although I'm really pleased with the effect. So therefore I don't think I need a pink frame, which is what I originally thought I would do. So I'm going to I've done what I've done before. I've put 2 layers of foam together with a piece this time of coconut white on top. I've got my magnetic plate. I don't think it's going to work today because with this, because of the foam, and then I've got these two dies from that Wellington set to create my frame. And actually the magnetic plate is working, and it's working against me, so we're going back, because sometimes when you put 2 dies close together, and it's a magnetic plate, it actually pushes them apart. So if you have that trouble, that would be why. It's just to do with the magnets of it, I guess. And a little bit of tape, and then we're going to just pop that through our machine. Again, it's quite thick because there's a lot of layers there, so don't be surprised if it's a little bit tight, but because it's foam, it will squidge. If you don't have foam but you still want to do something similar, you could just cut several layers of the card, because that will give you, and then you stick them together and it will give you a really nice effect. And the good thing about that is that it isn't absolutely in the same colour as the card that you're making the frame from, so it looks really cool. Has a really good, a nice effect, look. You can just see a little bit of bounce there. Okay, so that's those cut out. So now we've just one more thing to cut, and that is this piece here. So what we've got is a piece of the pink, this middle piece here, and I'm not going to bother cutting around it or anything, because it's going to sit under, the edges of the pink are going to sit underneath the other part of the Wellington die that we've done. So we're just going to pop that through like so, and I think that's it for that section, although I do think I might want to cut some flowers and some decorative elements, but we'll put this bit together first. So that's that, look, isn't that gorgeous? So I think that's all our elements for that. Okay, so here are all the elements that we just cut out. So let's pop these in position now. So this is going to go in here. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to pop it on the back of this piece so we can position it correctly. So I'm just going to take a bit of adhesive, put it on the back. If you use wet adhesive, it gives you some movement time and allows you to be able to position that correctly. So that will look right about there. Okay. And then we're going to take our adhesive and we're going to just pop that on here. Like so, and then I'm just going to dunk this into there so that it will stick. So this, whoops, gosh. So we want that to stick down onto the back there. And then we want this piece to stick down as well, because it just looks neater when it's stuck down rather than kind of floating about in this instance for the type of card I'm doing. It may work on another time, but for this card it doesn't. Okay, and now we're going to take this piece and again we're going to do the same thing. I'm actually going to work down this end now because that end's got so scrabby. because the glue's dried and redone and then re-dried. So okay, and then just pop that down here. What you want to make sure is the centre is lined up as best as possible. There we go. But don't forget, you are putting a frame on, so you will hide a little bit of any kind of bits that aren't quite right. There we go. Doesn't that look pretty? And then we've got the frame. Now you could easily ink on this frame because it's got a lovely kind of bordery bit to it, but I'm not going to. I'm just literally gonna put the adhesive down. I'm not going to ink it. It probably would have been better to ink it if you were going to while it was still in the dies. Then pop that in position, and that just gives it a nice finish to, I think it just gives a bit of extra dimension and a real nice look. Isn't that pretty? I love all that layering and the depth that we're getting there. Okay, so that's that piece done. Okay, so now for this, what I want to do is use my glue gel because it just needs that extra bit of strength. That your glue gel will give it. Okay, and you get just a little bit of dimension as well, which is nice. Okay, popping that into the centre there, like so. And you can see if it's central because these pieces all match up, which is really cool. Okay, so we're going to leave that to dry for a minute, and while it's drying off a little, we're going to cut a few extra elements just for some decoration on the front here, because otherwise, despite the fact that it's really lacy, it could be a bit plain. Okay, so I'm going to cut out some of these beaded Swell Flourishes, and this is also from the latest release, and I think this is going to look so pretty, this particular flourish. I think this. So we're going to take a piece of the coconut white, and I'm going to put it right down the end there because I think I may want to cut some more. So more than one, I should say, of the white, so it won't look right, but it's so pretty, isn't it? So I'm going to cut 2 cream, or coconut white I should say, and 1 pale pink, and hopefully between those that will be enough. Okay, so there they are. I've got 3 done, so I'm going to put those to one side for a minute, and then what I want to do is cut out some of these classic fold over flowers, and I've got some felt here. I've got pale pink and some white. So we've got a small one here we want in pink, and I've got a large one that I want in white, and a lid and pop that on and run it through. Like so. Well, that came off easy. Felt often does cut very easily. And then the same for the little one. And I'm thinking that you just, let's take the big one, you just fold over, since it's a fold over flower, and you glue that down, and then you roll it up. So we'll do that in a minute, but first we're going to cut one more small one in our white. Okay, I think that is now, unless I decide I need something else, that should be all the cutting. So we're going to go and I'm going to make my flowers. Okay, so let's take the big one first, because I'm having a feeling that that might be easier to start with since we don't know what we're doing. I'm just going to take my wet glue and put a little along one edge here, and then I'm going to fold the other edge over. Now I'm thinking that this may have worked better, although it's worked okay, and it may be that it works better with your glue gun, you know, your hot glue guns things. Hot glue guns even. Try again. Okay, now I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, but what I'm thinking is we'll start with a bit of adhesive. Oh, that was a bit more than I was expecting. Okay. And then that will just allow me to bend that piece over and stick it down, because then you can start your little roll, because then all we're going to do is roll this. Now I think you could stick it all the way if you wanted to, but I'm just going to put a tiny bit of glue every so often, just so it holds in place. In fact, I'm sure this is not right, but I'm going all the way along, because for me it's going to stay. Yuck. Okay, and because I've stuck it all the way through, I'm just pushing it up in the centre a little bit. There we go. I think that looks really nice, considering that's my first one ever. I am pretty impressed with myself. I have to say though, one has to be really impressed with the die, doesn't it really, because it's not me that's done much of the work. Okay. Isn't that cute? Okay, so we just got the one more to do. Okay, so that's the 3 flowers done there. Aren't they gorgeous? I really like those. They're so pretty. Okay, but now what I want to do is add these and my flowers to the card, sort of make that less bare there. And if you look, you see you've got that element here. So really, I think I want these over this side. So I'm just going to stick those kind of there, maybe, like so, and put the flowers like so. And then I can just maybe take the stalks off that side and then just put that piece under there. Whoa, I didn't mean to pull that over. See, I was thinking that would just go along the side here, make that gap a little less yucky, you know, empty looking. So let's try and get these pieces down, because we're nearly there, aren't we? Okay, so let's just add some adhesive to this one. I'm not going to stick it all the way down because we want some of it kind of up in the air a bit. So then we want that so that it's just like so. And I think that looks okay. It just makes a little element down the side there, just hides that gap. Okay, and then we want to do this piece. Now for this we're going to need to do it with this, just, it doesn't need very much, so we're just going to stick that kind of there, and then and then that piece kind of like that. Stuck to me, because again I want it kind of up in the air a bit. There we go. And then we can put my flowers like so. For those we need my glue gel. So just a blob of the glue gel on my flower there. And you could use your hot glue gun for this as well, that would work really well, and of course then they'd be stuck straight away. And then that's going to sit up like so, and I think that just looks so pretty and feminine and just adorable. So then just one last little bit that I just need to do to finish this card, and that involves just a tiny bit of sparkle, because I know for a fact that my mum loves sparkle. So I've got this lovely Cosmic Shimmer sparkle, and I'm going to put some, whoa, on my finger I was going to say, and then I'm going to basically dab that onto the flower, and hopefully you can, don't know if you'll catch that, hopefully you can, just there. So it's just a really little light piece, or not so light. Rub that in a bit, there we go, just a tiny bit of sparkle, and then the same, just rubbing it in onto my finger, and then just adding a little bit to these because I just think that will look so pretty. And then on this side just a little on these stalky bits. So that's that, and then of course we need just to add a tiny bit of sparkle to our sentiment here, just to finish that off as well. So there you go, there is that card all finished. I'm just hoping you can catch the glisten on that one. Can you just catch that glittery bit? There we go, just a little bit, and then onto the and the flowers. Okay, so that's our finished card, and I think it looks so pretty, and I hope Mum does too, because obviously this is her Mother's Day card. And what I really wanted to show, apart from obviously making the Mother's Day card, I really wanted to show that you could make a beautiful Sue Wilson card, as it were, even in a smaller format, because you looking at this, you wouldn't know if that was 8x8 or 6x6. I think the detail and the beauty, you know, the prettiness and the delicate sort of laciness of it is exactly the same as if it was an 8x8, and I think that it's turned out really lovely, and I hope you agree, and I hope that it helps you see that her dies are very, very versatile, whatever you want to do with them. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I would love to hear your comments. Don't forget to click the link to the blog post below if you're on YouTube, because there's loads of photos on there. When I do a card, I always put millions of photos on there, close-ups, etc., plus all details of the products used. So it's definitely worth going across. Plus, just as a bit of an advert for myself, there are more posts on my blog than there are on YouTube, so it's worth checking that out as well. Okay, thanks so much for watching. I love to hear what you have to say, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now. Bye.
He says he loves me as long as the day is white from morning to night. Standing in there, hands in my hair, lost for words. Where do you wanna be? I'm talking about you and me. What do you want? What do you see? And where is forever residing? The girl's gotta make her peace with a man to understand things. Clear out the way, the drive of the day, darling. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? Well, it's about as new as last year's rain pouring down from the sky so high. And you get used to knowing everything about each other, so you don't ask why. Oh, but you better not forget